Dolly in the house. What? What's up, everybody? Real quick. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. Did you miss me? What? What's up, everybody? Real quick. Hey. No, for real. Listen, when I don't talk on here, I don't feel like I'm productive. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like, seriously, I have to talk because, I feel like so many things going on in my mind. And like I said, guys, these are just my thoughts. But now today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my breast cancer journey and the things that I went through. Honestly, I want to talk about this and get this out the way, because a lot of people have been asking me and I've been procrastinating to talk about my journey. It was my healing journey and I know I'm healed now. But yeah, that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk to you guys about from the time I got diagnosed, which was last year, January 2020. I got diagnosed with breast cancer, invasive ductal carcinoma, is called, to be exact. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Like I said, for you guys that don't know me, listen, if you guys get tired of the intro, like Dolly in the house, just skip it. You don't gotta, but I feel like if I don't say it, then I don't know, I feel like I can't start right. I don't know, girl, don't ask, okay? I just feel like I gotta be like Dolly in the house, what, nah. But yeah, today I want to share my story with you guys, and I want to talk a little bit of that, from the time I got diagnosed, like I said. So yeah, I got diagnosed last year, 2020. I got diagnosed with breast cancer. How did it happen? A lot of people were like, did you find the lump? What made you go get checked because you're so young? And honestly, listen. So I remember, if you guys didn't watch on my YouTube channel, on one of my videos, I posted why I decided to get checked. And the reason that I decided to get checked was because I remember watching a documentary of a football coach who lost his wife to breast cancer. They were together for quite some time. They were high school sweethearts. She had breast cancer in her 30s and then came back in her 40s. And then unfortunately, she didn't make it. I remember watching that documentary, I believe it was like November of 2019. And I remember telling myself, you know what, let me just do my breast exam and make sure that I don't have anything, because, just to be safe. So I remember that same night, I was doing a breast exam on myself and I felt a small little lump on my right breast. When I felt the lump, I'm not gonna lie, in the moment I started thinking like, oh my God, what if I have breast cancer? All these negative things. But then I remember the following day I told my mom about it, like, Mom, I have this lump on my right breast. I'm a little scared. It might be cancerous. And right away, my mom told me, like, you know what, Dolly, don't worry. A lot of women in their 30s get a lot of mass in their breast. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's cancer. So don't worry about it. Don't stress out about it. Read more about women with mass on their breast after their 30s. And I'm like, okay. So then I started, reading about mass in the breast, and I didn't get so urged to get checked afterwards. I was just like, you know what? It might just be that. It might just be a mass on my breast. But then coincidence started happening after that. And I believe God is behind coincidence. And I remember a little after that, I bumped into a friend that I hadn't seen in some while. And, she used to be a little on the heavy side. And then I saw her a lot thinner. To me, I thought she was at the gym or going to the gym or something. And then she tells me that she was going something like breast cancer, and I was like, what? Okay, that's kind of a coincidence. I'm talking to somebody after I just had the thought of getting checked, but I'm like, whatever. Then I bumped into another friend that I hadn't seen in quite some time, and she had short hair, and I was just like, oh, you cut your hair? You got short hair? And she's like, oh, I just survived breast cancer. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I am so sorry. I didn't know that. Then a little after that, I remember my grandpa calls me. Girl, when I tell you my grandpa don't call me, he doesn't call me, okay? He does not call me. And I could count the times that he calls me. So when he called me, I'm thinking like, okay, I saw the number, I picked up right away. My grandpa's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, grandpa, nothing. And I'm about to head out. He's like, no. He's like, grab your kids, grab your husband, grab your family. I'm going to pray for you guys. I said, what are you talking about? He said, something strong and heavy is coming towards your family. I don't know when, I don't know how. My grandpa, he's a pastor. He lives in Puerto Rico. He's a strong believer in God. And so yeah, he's like, he couldn't tell me when or what was coming. He just knew that something was coming. And he just told me to grab my husband and my kids and he was going to pray for us. And that's what he did. A little after that, I said, it's just so many coincidences. So you know what? Let me make my appointment. Let me go get checked. I made my appointment. I decided I didn't want to get checked after the holidays just in case it was positive. I didn't want to, deal with that in the holidays and feel some type of way. And so, that was my choice to make. And so I decided to get checked a little bit after the holidays. But I remember when we got, usually every year we go to Florida. Last year I'm from Chicago. I'm from the Chicago area. Hey, girl. But we usually visit Florida every year. We try to go to Florida every year. So 2019, we're in Florida celebrating the holidays. And I remember getting there and my mom telling me that she has this, I don't know how you say it in English, but it's like this inquietud, una inquietud. Ella tenía una inquietud. There's something that was bothering her, and she's like, Dolly, it's just, and I keep telling my mom, it's my brother and my sister. They're stressing you out because they stress my mom out. I'm trying to tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, it's just them. They're stressing you out. She's like, no, it's not your brother and your sister. It's something more. It's something and I can't grasp it. I can't point at what it is. I said, Mom, don't even stress it. Well, fast forward, finally the time came. After the holidays, I got my appointment. I remember I went to get a biopsy done and then I went in for a mammogram. The hospital that I go to is a very huge hospital. Different patients go to the hospital, not only breast cancer or cancer patients, but mothers, other different people with other types of sickness, not only cancer patients. So I'm leaving the building. And when I tell you I'm with my husband and I'm with my mom, and this girl, like, she tries to get my attention. So she starts yelling like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And I'm looking, I look behind me like, and then she's like, you. And then, she runs up to me and then she's like, oh, I just want to let you know, my name is this. And I just, I'm a breast cancer survivor and you're going to be just fine. And I'm looking at her like, what? I'm like, I hadn't even got diagnosed yet. And she gave me her number and I was like, oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you, but I'm like, why? I cannot believe she just told me that I'm going to be just fine. I haven't even got diagnosed yet. It's not what she told me, it's how she told me. The way she grabbed my hands, she looked at me in my eyes and she said, you're going to be just fine. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Like in that moment I thought, oh my God, it's going to be positive, but I wasn't trying to be negative, I was just like, no, maybe she just said that for a reason. Whatever. That same day, my husband went to work. My mom and I go to the grocery store. I remember, I don't know, it was like around 2:00 when I got the call and I'm grocery shopping with my mom. And, I answered because I'm waiting for the results. And they said, do you want results over the phone? And I'm like, of course, because of course you're not never thinking they're going to tell you it's positive. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And she's like, well, it's definitely positive. Welcome to my team. What? Listen, she was talking and I don't know what she was saying after that because all I could remember was, what did you just tell me? Like, I could not believe what I heard. I cannot believe that she just told me that I had breast cancer. Because you hear these stories and you hear about people worldwide or all over the world getting diagnosed. But when it hits home, when it happens to you, it's like a whole different thing. I couldn't grasp it. I remember feeling numb. I remember just like, am I in a movie? Is this a dream? Am I about to wake up? Like, no. Yeah, no, not me. Not me. No. I do not have cancer. Like, what are you talking about? You know, and I remember my mom's with me, and I remember my tears are just pouring out my face, and I know that my mom didn't show emotion in that moment because she was trying to stay strong for me. If I felt some type of way, I could only imagine a mother hearing that from a daughter, you know, hearing that your daughter is sick. Like, and I always say, listen, if I have to do it all over again, I would, because only you know what you go through when you go through that. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy, and I wouldn't want my kids to go through this, or anyone that I love and care about, you know. Or I understand now when cancer patients say, I can't do chemo anymore. I get it now, because I'm sorry. Reminiscing on these things is not easy, guys, to be honest. That's why it's so hard for me to talk about it sometimes, because it gets a little hard to talk about, but sorry about that. But yeah, I understand now. I get it now when some people say I just can't do it anymore, or my body just can't take it anymore. I used to wonder what cancer people had to go through and how bad it was, and now I don't wonder anymore. Now I know. Now I understand. I get it. But for you that you're out there, if you got diagnosed not only with cancer, but you got any type of sickness, or know that it's not over till it's over. You gotta fight. You gotta continue on fighting. You gotta stay strong, especially if you have kids. So the hardest part about this journey for me, honestly, I believe, was telling my kids. You know, letting my kids know that I had to go through this. And at that time, last year, my youngest was 7, my daughter was 8, and my oldest was 12. I remember the way we told him. I actually put a documentary on. Girl, I'm looking crazy, girl. Don't, girl. My bad. Let me put these back on, guys. The way we told our kids, I already had watched episode of this woman that had got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she made it and she was okay. So I decided to show this to my kids before telling them that I have breast cancer. And I remember we called them into the room, and I remember my sister-in-law, my mom, she was with us, my husband, you know. And I tell my kids, you know, I put the video on for them, and at first they're looking all a little confused, like, what's going on. Then next thing you know, I tell them, the only reason, you know, I wanted you guys to see this video is because mommy's gonna be sick for a little while, and mommy has this thing that's called breast cancer. And my 7-year-old didn't quite understand what was going on, or at least he couldn't explain it, I guess. Maybe I think he understood, he just couldn't express himself. My 12-year-old started crying right away when he heard the news. He was crying, and he right away showed emotion. But the one that hurt me the most was my daughter, and it's just crazy because she's just like me, and it's not a good thing. I tell my kids all the time, listen, I don't want you to be just like mommy. Be better than mommy, okay? Like, I want you to have mommy's attitude. I don't want you to be just like mommy. Mommy got a lot of issues that, you know, that I gotta work on, which is this attitude. Girl, don't even get me started. And my daughter, 8 years old, didn't want to show no emotion. Everybody was crying in the room except her. She's just like, no. And she just kept like, I know it was her trying to be strong and not show emotion in front of me, in which I tell her, no, baby, it's okay. You could show emotion. You could show emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be humble. It's okay. You know, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. You know? My kids was one of the hardest parts. I remember when I started the Taxol, I started Taxol and AC. I did, I believe it was 12 Taxols. I believe it was 12 Taxols and 6 ACs. If I'm not mistaken, 6 or 8 ACs. I can't remember. Taxols for me wasn't that bad, you know. Taxol, honestly, before all that, when I first started chemo, my first day of chemo, it's nothing. If you've never been diagnosed, you never had cancer, and it's your first time going through this, and you don't know what to expect, it's really nothing what you think in your head, or at least the way that Taxol is the way I thought radiation was gonna be, you know. The way they do radiation was the way I thought they were gonna do the Taxol, the chemo medication. But chemo is really just, and you know, they sit you down. They either put this port on you. I decided to put a port because they said if you don't put a port and you do it through your veins, eventually your veins start thinning even more. So it don't damage your veins. It's good to wear a port, especially if you have to do a certain amount of Taxols. A certain amount of chemos. So since I had to do a certain amount of chemos, I decided to get the port. And the port is this little device that they put, like, it's kind of like an incision. You have to get they don't put you to sleep all the way, but they numb the area, and they put like this little device inside of your skin where they draw blood each time. They put the chemo where the chemo medication goes through each time you go get the chemo. So I used to go every Wednesday for almost 2 hours. And when I'll get there, they'll clean the port area, and that's where they'll put the chemo, like it's like a needle that they put. And instead of taking blood out, they're putting something in you, you know. So the Taxol, I did okay with the Taxol. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep skipping parts, my bad. But I remember the first chemo that I went to, it was, first of all, just walking in the room, I felt like the room was sinking in on me. Like the halls were sinking in on me. That's how I felt like. I remember I was with my husband and my mom, and I remember I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm about to walk in. I remember about to go in the room where everybody's getting, you know, treatment. And I just remember the doors closing in on me, the halls closing in on me. And I just remember I just like almost got on my knees and just started crying. Like I just couldn't believe that I was about to go through that. But I told myself that I had to do it because there's a lot of people that need me still, and that'd be selfish of me to not want to get better because, you know, other people need me. My kids need me, you know. Honestly, not that I ever want this to happen, you know, but I say if my kids would have been a little older, that they could take care of themselves and provide for themselves and look out for themselves. If I had to go, I would leave peacefully. But at this moment, I told God, God, don't take me. I'm not going to leave peacefully because my kids are still little and I feel like they still need their mom. They still need me to cuddle and kiss them and be there for them, you know, and in their most important moments. You know, now it's about to, this year, thank God, it's going to be my son's 8th grade graduation, God willing. And I thank God that I'm able to be here. I'm thankful, I'm grateful, I am blessed. God is key. That's one thing I say all the time. God is key. I promise you, if you don't talk to nobody, talk to him. You know, and so getting diagnosed, one of the hardest parts was my kids. It was definitely hard. My 7-year-old will say some things that it was just like, I wouldn't even know how to answer him when I went bald. Letting go of my hair was hard, but then I understood that hair is just hair. It was hard for me to understand that, of course. I had no choice. But looking back at it now, I understand that hair is just hair and hair will grow back. You know, even though it was hard for me to let go of my curls because there were some beautiful curls. Sometimes I miss them, I can't lie. But yeah, you know, the Taxol, I didn't do so bad on the Taxol. I did 12 Taxols and I was okay. But when I started the AC, my whole body did a 360. It took a toll on me. It really did. Like, I couldn't believe that. I honestly couldn't even walk. My husband had to carry me from my bed to my mom's car to drive to my mom's house. We stayed with my mom for a couple weeks. Thank you, Mom, for just always being there. You're my superhero. You're awesome. But yeah, we stayed a couple of days with my mom. When I tell you I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. This is why it's so hard for me to talk about this, because I reminisce on these things and it's just hard. And I hate crying on camera or just crying, period. I feel like a crybaby all the time. I'm sorry, guys, but I do apologize for that. But yeah, I remember waking up one time and catching my mom crying and my kids. I remember my 7-year-old, he would tell me things like, Mommy, you're gonna go to heaven. And I'm like, what? He said, you're gonna go to heaven, Mommy? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go to heaven yet, not yet. And he said, well, if you go to heaven, Mommy, I just want you to know that we're gonna keep the house clean all the time, Mommy. We're always gonna clean for you, Mommy, because you're always cleaning. And when you look down from heaven, our house is gonna be real clean. And I'm like, Dre. And he said, Mommy, are you gonna be there for me in high school? Or is your hair gonna grow back? And I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I, like, you know? And it's just these little questions that I know, you know, he needed answers and wanted answers, and I wasn't 100% sure that that's what it was going to be, you know. But my faith, I always say my faith is stronger than my fear and bigger than my fear, and I put my faith on God and let it be what God wants me to be. And if I have to go through this healing journey, it's for a reason, you know. And honestly, just going through it was one of the hardest parts. Telling my husband, I remember he was at work and I asked him if he could leave work early, and he had said that he couldn't because his boss were being real strict with him. So I said it's okay. I remember I told him over the phone that it was positive, and I remember he just hung up the phone, and the next thing you know, he came home. And as soon as he got home, he just picked me up and carried me and gave me the biggest hug ever. It was like so cute. And he just said, we're gonna fight this, babe, and we're gonna get through this. But I can't lie, he started getting a little depressed on me. You know, he started, my husband, if you don't know my husband, I promise, my husband is the type that you will never, ever see my husband out looking crazy or bummy, or unless he's working, or something's wrong. That's what I mean. Because he's always like, I'm telling you, he looks at himself 5 times in the mirror before leaving the house. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and he got into like a funk of just being sad and feeling sad. And I'm just like, and it wasn't helping me. It was, I'm already feeling some type of way, and then if you're feeling more depressed than me, and I'm just like, wait. So I remember it was making me feel some type of way, and I remember I told my husband, I'm like, you have to get it together, babe. You have to get it together. I can't see you like this. I can't see you just being sad. And no, I need to see you doing you. You know, I need to see you getting up, getting the kids ready, you know, telling me I got this, babe, you know, helping me with my juices, helping with my foods, and saying we're going to do this together, you know. And after, I guess it took for me to tell him that he really was just like, all right, it's time to snap out of it and do what we have to do and fight. You know, we can't just sit here and cry. Crying's not going to get you anywhere, you know, and it's time to fight this. And I always said cancer had me. I didn't have cancer. Cancer was battling with Dolly. Dolly wasn't battling with cancer. All right, girl, get it right. Okay, girl. No, I'm just like, but no, you know, it was hard because at 33 years old, getting diagnosed with breast cancer, it's not something easy. You know, I feel like I still have a whole life ahead of me, you know, and things that I want to do, you know. So it's just that, you know, it was hard. It was hard. But yeah, guys, you know, send me your thoughts, your questions, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, guys. You know, I gotta pick up these baby kids from school, girl. Girl.